So when you open Activity Monitor, it's going to take a moment, but it's going to show you everything running in the background. If you come up here and do a search for node, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Normally what happens is the process node pops up here. You can click on it and you can hit stop. In this point, oh, I'm getting a connection refused 5432. 5432, does anyone know what port that is used for?
We were using it for Postgres.
We are. So what's happening is if I go up to my Postgres up here, it says it's not running. So I just need to hit the start button there. Now that I've got the green check mark, I can come down to my terminal, hit Control-C to stop it, up Enter to start it. And now we're good to go. We've got our SQL popping up and our servers running. You can go over to our front end, npm run start. That's going to pop open our lovely, highly stylized front end. Just kidding. So I'm going to start a live share. We'll share that with you guys.
That's cute.
There, put that there. I will wait for you guys to catch up. So I'm going to start a poll to make sure you guys got it all running. You probably got it running before I was able to get it running. Should show you how much practice you have getting all of this fired up. But what you should have is your front end with your login. Should be able to click login, type in your username, type in your password, hit login, and get to the admin screen. So if you've made it to the admin screen, that is where we are going to be starting tonight. Four votes in, hoping to get a couple more. If you were able to get everything fired up, or if you're just going along for the ride, please vote in Zoom. If anyone needs help, I'm happy to help. Remember in your db.js to change your username from hack upstate here to your actual username. If you got an issue on port 5432, you can go up to Postgres up here and click start. If you don't have this elephant up here, you can always open the Postgres app and start it up that way. 8 votes in. Let's go for 1 or 2 more, and then we will roll forward. Doug, go ahead.
Would it matter if I have node running from another project, like another?
If it is using the same port, yes.
Okay, that's probably it. Let me check.
All right, I'm going to roll forward here. One thing that was really annoying me is, hey, all of this SQL is cool to see what Sequelize is doing behind the scenes, but it's really annoying to have it in my terminal all the time. So I'm going to go to my Sequelize in my db.js file. And when I set up Sequelize, I'm going to pass it an object where I set logging to false. And now when my server reboots, we don't get all of that SQL logging out. It's still working. There aren't any problems with it. But what we're able to do is just put logging to false. So Sequelize isn't dumping out every SQL command that it's running. It just knows, all right, I'll run that SQL behind the scenes. I don't need to print everything for you. Okay, so let's think about our blog. our blog needs to be able to create, read, update, and delete what?
Users?
We could do a create account and allow users to be able to create an account from scratch, but I'm thinking of something else. When you think of a blog, what do you think of being in a blog?
Oh, hosts.
Post. So I'm going to go to my database because that's where it's all got to start. I can't create, read, update, or delete anything unless I tell Sequelize, hey, there's this thing in the database, or there should be this thing in the database called post. So I'm going to create a new DB in the DB folder. I'm going to create post.js. And I'm actually going to take most of my user.js and pop it into my post because that's a good starting point. So I'm going to say my db.define is no longer a user, it's a post. My post is still going to have an ID. Now, what kind of other data do I need to store about my post? What does a typical blog post have?
Title,
Content.
content, author, time, date.
All right, so we're going to do data types dot string here. String data type cannot be longer than 255 characters. That is a limit of SQL. If we do need something longer than that, like we might for content, we are going to use data types dot text instead. So we use string whenever it's like a sentence that they're writing, 255 characters. We use text whenever it may go over that 255. We also said that we need to store the author, but we're going to store that author as an ID. And we're going to see that play out a little bit later. But for right now, we're going to store the author ID as the data type's integer. And that's where we're going to get started because Sequelize, remember, is doing the timestamps for us. It's creating a created at and updated at field for us automatically that we can actually already use. So if I save that and I go over to my Beekeeper, and from there I connect to the default database and I look in my blog, well, I look in my database and there's no posts in there. Well, why isn't there a post? I defined it here. Why don't I see a post in my database?
You have to
Export.
define it and
Yep, export, import it, and define it in the db.js, right? So up here, I have a user. Well, I'm going to use that as a model. I'm going to say const post require from the post file, give it access to the database. And once you are done doing that, sync it with the database. And after you're done syncing it, export out the post so we can use it elsewhere. So now I go back to my Beekeeper. I hit the little refresh button on the entities and my posts pop up. And if I open up the post table, I can see, oh, there's my ID, my title, my content, my author ID, and the 2 timestamps that Sequelize created for me. So let's stop there and make sure everyone's following along with that. What you should have is not only your post set up in the database file, you should also have the post file itself.
What did you say we should see in?
You should, in Beekeeper, if you hit the little refresh button next to entities, you should be able to see your post table with the ID, title, content, author ID created at and updated at.
Why does, behind timestamps, it has a 6 in parentheses? Why does, what's 6?
Anyone need help?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
On Beekeeper at the timestamps, why does it say 6? Where it's like you said the 255 characters.
Would you like me to bullshit you and say that I have an answer, or I
Oh, no,
actually
maybe
don't
there's
know on
not
that
an
one?
answer. I
No,
just
it's a good question. It is something to do with the length of how much space the time state takes up in the database.
Mhm.
And by default, the length, I guess, is 6 on a timestamp. I don't know why it's 6. I'm sure there is an answer that you could look in the Postgres documentation for that. Let's just see if we can easily find Postgres timestamp 6.
Maybe there's not an answer. I don't know. I just thought maybe it was something simple.
Unfortunately, not something simple. Let me see. Size.
Max, if we're caught up, what should we have going on at this point?
In Beekeeper, as long as you can see the columns in over on the left in the post table, you're caught up. Yeah, I don't know.
It's fine. I thought it was something simple.
It is not. I'm sure it is. I just don't have the answer for it. It is something to do with the data size and how Postgres stores timestamp under the hood.
Oh, okay.
Zach, go ahead.
I must have missed a step. My server keeps crashing. I don't know why.
Cannot find posts because you called the file posts.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Stephanie, go ahead.
My thing said crashed too, but I don't think it was because of the file name.
Okay, go ahead, share.
Oh,
Okay, scroll up a little bit. In your db.js, did you change it to your username? If you go to db.js. Aha. And I knew that because it said session user ID.
oh, but I changed it though. I might have hit undo then,
Mm.
because that was the first thing I did. I don't know what the hell happened. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Max, if I need to rename my data, the post, I put the wrong name in there, but how do I do that?
Not easily. What you're gonna do you have one with the correct name and one with the incorrect name?
I have one with the incorrect name.
Okay, so if you go to, I It's not that hard. If you just change to the correct name here, what it's going to do is it's going to create the table with the correct name, but then you're still going to have that lingering one with the incorrect name. So what you're going to do is just go to Beekeeper, go to, you can either open a new tab or find query one. And all you're going to do is say drop table. And then like, if you had it spelled like PPOSTS, you would just drop whatever the incorrect one is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 7 votes in. Let's say 8 or 9 is the threshold tonight. Anyone needs help, let me know.
I was voted no, but now I'm yes, so.
Okay. Okay, we are going to keep on going here. So now that we've got our model, we need to make our front end have a way to actually create the post. And then in the back end, we need to create the actual post using the endpoint. So I'm going to go to my source and to my admin screen because admins are the one who should be able to make posts. So I'm going to scroll down. And underneath my logout button, I'm going to get started. So I'm going to say, second. Actually, let's make this on a new page. Let's make it link so that we can create a post editor. So I'm going to say here, I want to link to, and the page I want to link to is going to be admin, post editor, and new. And we're going to set that up in 1 second. And the link is going to say new post. So I save that, I go back to my front end, and I immediately get an error. Link is not defined. Okay, well, in order for me to use link, I need to come up to the top and import link from React Router DOM. So I put the link in from React Router DOM, it's imported, everything's running again. I go back to my browser, I look at Max's blog, and I get new post, but man, is that ugly without a space between them. So why don't we come in the span and just put something like this to separate them out. So I look over here. Now I've got a nice little separator between the two of them. This is literally a curly brace, a quote, a space, the vertical bar, or what is sometimes called pipe operator. That is shift and the button under delete, and then another space, and then a quote. And that's just a quick and dirty way of kind of separating out links so that we've got a nice separator between the two of them. Okay, so now when I click on new posts, I get a blank white screen. Well, of course we do. We haven't set up the post editor in order to be able to edit or create a post. So now we need to do that. We're going to go to our source. We're going to create a file called posteditor.js. We're going to say const post editor equals, and we're going to return a div. And we're going to say, hey, there's an H1 here that says new post. And then I come back over to my browser, nothing works. well, I made this post editor and I exported the post editor, but we've got to tell our router, hey, this post editor exists and I want it to exist when we go to post editor new. So what we do is we go back to our app.js and we say, hey, when the route path says admin post editor new, show the element post editor. And that auto imported for me, which is nice. I don't need to stop that. But if it did not auto import for you, if you did not use autocomplete, make sure you've got your import post editor coming in here. We come back over here and I should be able to click on the new post button from my admin screen and get to this post editor new. Stop in there to poll. Zach, go ahead.
So I know what my problem is. I'm just curious why it's not letting me input it like this. So in admin, instead of adding link to import use navigate, I type this out. Why can't I do that? Why do I have to type link up here?
You don't. That's not your problem. If
Oh,
you come in outline 4 and put the link in the use navigate section, it's still going to error out on you.
hmm.
So save that and let me just confirm. Yeah, so scroll up. What's your error? So your error is in app.js on post editor. So you're missing the closing. Nope, you're missing go on the other side of the curly brace, the closing slap. Oh, that works too. Either one would be valid, but yeah, that's better. So save that.
Cool.
Save the app.js file. Okay, and now you get post editor is not defined because you didn't import it up at the top. If you just hit enter, it's going to autofill it for you. There you go.
Sweet.
And
Thanks.
save, and I think you should be good to go. Now, it is preferred to do all of your imports on the same line if you're importing multiple things from the same package, but it is not invalid JavaScript to do it line by line like you did it.
Okay. Thank you.
What should we be seeing when we go to localhost 3000?
So localhost, if you're all the way back at localhost 3000, you should see a login screen.
Oh,
You
right.
click login, you should be able to actually log in. Once you log in, you should be able to see new post. And if you click on new post, it should take you to a screen that just says new post on it.
Oh, yeah, I missed some steps. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
6 votes in, waiting for 1 or 2 more before we roll forward.
I didn't see a post. I mean, a thing. So
Okay, 1 more vote and then we will go forward.
I'm crashing. You wanna?
Go ahead, share your screen. Did you read the error message and try and solve it yourself before you shared the screen?
Hold on. Let me do that. Backend. Okay. I'm just gonna share.
Go
See.
for it.
Okay.
Okay. So error occurred in link component. So go back to your front end. And we know that link is on the admin page. Where do we import our link? Scroll up to the top. We didn't import link. Where do we have to import link from?
Import link.
Where does the link come from?
Hold on. Can I push this up? Where is it? There we go. From here?
Nope.
No.
Where does the link component itself come from? What controls what page we see and what shows up on a different path?
Oh, app.js.
Right. What package in app.js?
I'm not following the question. Ask it a different way.
What controls, what package controls what page is showing on the screen? Yep. Where does that come from? What's the name of the package?
The browser, the browser React DOM.
React Router DOM.
Yeah.
That is where our link needs to come from as well. So on the admin page, you need to scroll up to the top, and instead of just importing use navigate, you also need to import link. But it's not a lowercase because it's its own component. So it's a capital L because it's their component. Now save and scroll down and make sure that when you use the link, you're using a capital L on both sides. Okay, now click new post. And you're caught up.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. We now need to get our form set up in the front end so we can actually make our new post. So we're going to come to our post editor and we're going to start writing some fun HTML. We're going to start out with a, let's start out with a link. And because we're using link, we need to make sure it is imported. So we're going to, I'm using autocomplete, letting that drop in for me. And I'm going to say link going back to the admin screen. And I'm going to call this link back to admin home. Now I'm going to get started on my form. So in my form, I'm going to do a label, and that label is going to say post title. And then I'm going to do an input with a type of text. And that input can be self-closing tag. But let's put a class name on it, form-control. And I'm going to say, well, what else do I need? I'm going to need another label. And that label is going to say post content. And that is going to be, instead of an input, let's make that a text area. So we've got a little bit more room. Class name can be form control. Form control is just bootstrap styling. I'm going to save that. And then finally, I need a button down here. It's going to be a type submit. That's going to say post. So I come over to the browser, I take a look. Yeah, not terrible. Let's clean it up a little bit. I'm going to do a colon here. I'm going to say a class name here is going to be BTN and BTN primary. I might add a little line break in here. Maybe a line break here. Yeah, works for me. So I'm just going to go one step more because I feel like we're pulling a lot tonight. I want to get my state hooked up to it. I need to know what they've typed in here, right? So I'm going to create two state objects. One is going to say title and set title. She's going to use state. I'm going to use my autocomplete, and they're going to start out as empty. And I'm going to say const content and set content is a use state that's starting out as empty. And whenever we set up our controlled component, so React can control the value, we need to add two props. One is the value, so we'll go ahead and add that value to both of them. And we also need to add an on change. So we're going to say on change is going to take the event. When it gets the event as a parameter, it is going to set the title to the event.target.value. And we're going to do that same thing, that same on change down. Oh, same on change on this text area. Where did I put my value? I put my value in the wrong spot. Value is going on the text area, and the on change is going to set content. And now when I come over here, really nothing should have changed. So I should be able to type in A, B, C, D, E, F, and I click post and it clears the page out for me. So we'll get it connected to the API in 1 second. But for now, I'm going to leave this up on the screen and start another poll.
Boom, 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 boom. Is that the rain again?
Yeah, I think so.
Crazy.
It's weird how scattered it is because we didn't get any here, but just depends where you're at.
Funny, 'cause, earlier today around 2, 3, it was like it rained and then it just became sunny again, and then now it's overcast. So Syracuse.
For sure. And at this point in the program, a friendly reminder, this is not about just getting it working. It's making sure that you understand everything and understand the steps and why we're taking them. At this point, it's not just about what we're doing, it's about why we're doing it. So if you ever don't understand that why, stop me and ask. Reminder to vote if you're able to get it working. Here if you have any questions. Six votes in, 8 seems to be the magic number tonight. So, oh, 7 votes in, 1 more away. All right, last chance for any questions.
Um, Still working. Why isn't it?
All right, we are going to roll forward here. So we've got our front end all set up. We are getting the form. We have all the inputs. Now we've got to handle when this form is submitted. So we say on submit equals post. And I'm going to say const post is a action that is going to take the event. We are going to prevent the default action from happening because we want to make the API call. We want control over it. And then we are going to do our await or a const response equals await a fetch. But before we even set up the fetch, we're using await. So we've got to come up here and make this async. Now that it's async, where do we want to fetch to? We want to fetch to our API URL that's coming in from this import file for me so that I can update my URL in one place and have it update everywhere. It's the notion of an environment variable. And I'm going to say post. Then I need to figure out what does my fetch look like? Well, I'm going to use a method called post. I'm going to post a post to my blog. And the headers are going to have a content type of application JSON. And my body is going to be a stringified version of the title and the content. The title and the content are coming from my state here. My state is tied down to my value here, which is updated on change. So whenever a letter is pressed, it stores it in state. State gives me access to it here. Then when it's finally ready and we go to submit it, we send the title and the content to the backend. And then the last thing we're going to do is include the credentials, because we only want people who are signed in to be able to post to the blog. So we do all of that. And of course, if we come over here and type in ABC and 1, 2, 3 and post, nothing happens. But if we're smart enough, we go to the console and we see it 404. Well, of course, at 404, we haven't made a post method. So I switch over to my backend. Oh my God, this is way too many windows open. Let me clean this up really quick. Okay, that makes me feel better. Okay, so I am going to, in my backend, I'm going to open my server.js. I'm going to make sure that I have my post imported from the database file. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to say, hey, server, you are going to get a post method. And that is going to be to the post. And what we are going to do is an async reqres. And when we get that post information, we are going to await a post.create. And where are we going to post in? Well, the title is going to come from the rec.body.title. And the content is going to come from the rec.body.content. And then we are going to res.send back post created. Okay, we do all of that work, but if we look at our post model, we've got this author ID. Well, what did we solve yesterday with sessions? We solved that notion of, well, we should know what user is signed in and making this post. So what we are going to do is we are going to set the author here, or the author ID, from the rec.session.user.id. So this information is technically kind of coming from the front end, but we aren't explicitly getting the author ID from the request. We're getting the author ID from the session based off of who is logged in. So if I go back over to my front end and now I try and make a post, it doesn't look like anything happened. That's okay. We're going to fix that in 1 second. But if I go back over to the database and I open up my post table, here's my ABC, my content 1, 2, 3, and an author ID of 1. Well, what's that author ID of 1 about? Well, if I look in my users table, I can see, oh, I am user ID 1. So the post table is storing my author ID because I am the user that signed in and made the post. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. What you should be at this point is you can go to your front end. You can click the post button. It doesn't look like it is doing anything. But if you go to Beekeeper, you should be able to look in the post table, refresh the table down here, and see whatever you typed in the front end is now showing in your database backend. Oh, and I should start a poll.
Where should we see what we put in there in Beekeeper?
Beekeeper, if you open the posts table and hit the refresh button down here in the bottom right, you should see what you typed in. If you don't, go to your front end console, see if you have any errors there. If you don't, go to your back end console, see if you have any errors there. And if you're still stumped, let me know.
I'm sorry, can you go over one more time what the browser is supposed to look like or what it's supposed to be doing?
The browser won't do anything. When you click this post button, it will appear to do nothing. But when you go into Beekeeper and you look in the post table, as long as you click the refresh button down here in the bottom right, you should be able to see what you typed in on the form show up in your database.
Let me go try. Thank you.
Yeah, just keep in mind when you click this post button, it's not going to look like it did anything, but go check in your database and see if it actually did.
I didn't have anything pop up after I refreshed and everything.
Go ahead, share screen. Okay, that looks good. That all looks good. You did not link your on submit, which is your post right here, into your form right here. So you need to add an on submit equals curly brace post.
Ah.
Oh, careful.
What happened? Oh, I see.
That should do it. Good work.
Cool, thank you.
Give everyone another more minute while I go get a nice pop. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm getting a 404.
Did you go to the back end and create your endpoint?
Yes.
Okay, share your screen.
There's something wrong with my fetch.
Probably. You're doing it just to post here. You need to
Oh.
include your API URL.
Thank you. Sometimes it's so obvious.
Years of practice. Larry, go ahead.
What should be happening at this point? So I don't have anything, wrong screen. I don't have anything in my database anyways for the post. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, I was muted. Go ahead and fill it out anyway. Do the title and the content and click the post button just so we can see if there are any errors on the front end. And click post. Okay, so nothing going on. Oh, go to your front end code first. Post event prevent default, post content type JSON, unify credentials include. Okay, scroll down to your form. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong side. I was reading all of my code. See how your post is grayed out here? That's how I know if you scroll down to your form that your form is missing the on submit right on line 25.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I'm still not seeing by, I looked at these errors.
Go ahead, share screen.
So I looked right here. So
You're not sharing.
I'm not, okay.
Invalid. React
So-
JS. What the hell is that?
You're missing the form on submit equals post.
Which line are you, what line are you telling me that from? I'm missing the. Oh,
26 on both.
okay.
What part of the backend should be
Beekeeper. You should be able to go to Beekeeper, open up the post table and see what you posted.
I'm unable to.
Okay. Just test this. Christy, go to the post table. That's the users table. Double click.
Oh,
Okay, there you
maybe
go.
that have been it all along. Okay, thank you.
Larry, are you good?
No.
Okay, share your screen. Zach, I'll come to you and then to Wayne.
I got like in my hold on. So I got this uncaught promise.
Empty response. Okay, so go to your backend.
And I right here I got the squiggly lines on back end.
That's
Yeah.
fine. We haven't started to use the response yet, but if you go oh yeah.
Share desktop 3. All right. Oh, it crashed over here for some reason.
Scroll up. Did you import post before you use create?
Good question. Did not.
Aha. Line 11.
All right.
Oh, maybe that's it. Let me check that.
Jack, go ahead. Okay. Where are
I'm not sure what I'm missing.
so you're not logged in yet? So you won't be able to get to the post editor.
Okay.
Everyone wants to be Max, huh?
I changed mine and it didn't change.
Thank you.
No problem. 7 votes in. 7 votes in, looking for 8. Eight votes in. Last call for any help.
I'll be 9, I guess.
1 second. I got one more thing to put in.
You want help, Wayne?
No, I just have this last bit of code.
Okay.
Typo.
Okay, so we're creating our post. We can see it in the database, but you have now suffered through the classic problem of we've done the C of our CRUD, but we don't have the R done. So we have no idea whether our posts are actually showing up or not. So we need to do that. We need to make our blog post show up somewhere. But before we move on, there's one last thing I want to do. On our post editor, once the response comes back, we want to navigate them. So we have to import use navigate. We then need to, in our hooks up at the top, say const navigate equals use navigate. And then finally, once that post exists, navigate them back to the admin screen. Okay, so now when you actually make a post, it will automatically redirect you to admin. But we still aren't seeing those posts anywhere. Well, in order to see any of those posts, we need to create a new endpoint to get all the posts. So we come down here and we say server.get posts async recres, and all we're going to do is res.send back the posts, which are coming from the post database, find all, and when you find them, wait for them to come back. It's line 69 to 71. Okay, we've got that in the database or in the backend. Now we're going to go back to our home.js. This is where people are going to be able to see all of the posts. So what we need to do is pull in use effect from React, because what we want to do is say, hey, when the page first loads, we would like you to go get all of the posts. So we're going to say const get posts equals an async. We are going to say const response equals await a fetch, and we are going to fetch to our API URL /posts. That's it. That's all we need, because our posts should be viewable by anyone. You shouldn't have to be signed in. And by default, it's going to default to a get. So we don't need to do credentials. We don't need to do application JSON. We don't need to stringify. We don't need any of that, because we are using the default get method. We do need to get the data. So we do need to await a response.json. And then we need to make our post show up. But in order to make our posts show up, there's got to be a place that we store them. So we're going to come up here and we're going to say const posts, and set posts is going to be stored in the state. And the state's going to start out as an empty array. We're going to assume that there are no posts on the site to get started. Then once we do the API call, we are going to set the posts to the data coming back from the API. And once we do all of that, what we are able to do after we call the function is come down here and say, hey, go through all of the posts and map over each one of them. And for each one of them, we're going to return a div, and that div is going to have an let's say a h3 in it with a post.name, post.title, excuse me. And from that, we are also going to show a p tag with the post.content. And because we are mapping over them, React is going to yell at me if I don't use a key to basically keep track of each unique one. So I'm going to say the key is the post database ID. So I go to my browser, and for the most important part here, not that, I forgot to use state. Okay, for the most important part, I don't want to be on my post editor. I don't want to be in my admin screen. I want to change my URL back to the home screen. And look at what shows up here, ABC123. Well, that's cool. And if I go back to my admin, I can make a new post and say my awesome new post. And post it. And it took me back to admin. But if I go back to my home screen, it shows. So I will do a walkthrough of all of that in 6 minutes. Give you guys a minute to catch up. Most of the work we just did was in home.js. The only part that we had to add on the back end was this server get posts. So give you guys a couple minutes to catch up on that. We'll do a review run through and then we'll go on break. Go ahead, Larry. Oh, now go ahead, Larry.
Getting an error saying navigate is not defined, even though.
Yep, you need one line. In order to use navigate, you need to store navigate.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a weird thing, but basically you need to tell the hook what to hook into, and that's what you're doing. When you use that use navigate hook, you're telling it to hook into the current component. So it has the context of where it's supposed to navigate to.
Sorry, what's our code supposed to be, or what's our browser supposed to be doing at this point?
If you can make a new post in the admin interface and then go back to the home page, you should be able to see the post that you created.
I must be missing something.
Go ahead, share your screen. Change your admin URL to take the the slash admin out of the end. Okay. So you've got a 3001 post. Oh, hold on. Whoa. Don't sign in. We should be able to see our posts on the homepage.
Okay.
So go back to, yep. And now we've got connection refused 3001. So let's go look at your back end, because connection refused is usually your back end is crashed. Okay, now it says res.send is not a function. Okay, now that's good. Go up. Nope, before you log in, just refresh on the homepage. Ah,
Okay.
good work.
Thanks.
Don't forget to vote. Thank you.
What? What did you just tell Zach to do?
He had a typo in his back end, and because the back end was crashing, the front end wasn't working. But make sure that when you're checking for your posts, you're not on the admin page, you're actually on your home screen.
Oh no, I was on I'm on new post and I hit post. and it
Okay,
just-
so delete everything out of the URL after the 3000 to get back to your home screen,
Oh, okay.
and then see if you can see your post on the home screen.
No, I have an error. Failed to fetch.
Okay, so go look in your back end and see if you have an error in the back end terminal.
No, my app crashed, waiting for files before changing. Stop the.
So
Okay.
scroll up and see what the actual error is.
Invalid regular expression missing.
Share your screen. You got a syntax error somewhere. Okay, where's the red squiggly?
Right here.
Yep.
Oh, no, that doesn't even have anything to do with it.
It does though.
Refresh this.
Just refresh the whole page.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye. Good work. Go ahead, Larry.
So I'm on my homepage. I don't see anything other than login.
Refresh. Okay, go to your front end code. Finally learned that you have my code on the right. Go to your home component.
Where did it go? Hold on.
You are missing a whole bunch of code in there.
All right, I'll get to it. Thank you.
That's the last step though, so it's the good news. All right, before break, I want to just do a quick run through of all of this. Let me see where we're at poll wise. Okay, yeah. Let's just do a quick run through before break. If you don't have it working yet, that's okay. Just take take a break and switch back over to my code or the Zoom screen share so that you really can understand how this is flowing, because this is very typical create, read, update, delete, right? Update, delete, we haven't done yet, but we want to make sure we're understanding this from the beginning. So what we do before we can create a post in the database, we've got to tell Sequelize what the model of that post is going to look like. So we create the post, we tell it, hey, it's going to have a title, a content, and an author ID. We then go to server.js and set it up to say post create the post from the body title and content coming in the request. Okay, now that we've made this endpoint, we need to go use it. So we go over to our post editor and we say, hey, when you submit the form, go run this post method. This post is going to post to our route called post. This is a terrible name, but what it's going to do is it's going to send up the title and content that have been typed in from the state. When it does that, it comes over here and it goes, oh, go create that in the database. Then the front end redirects us to the admin screen. But when someone loads the home screen for the first time, it says, oh, go do a fetch to the posts. When we don't specify a method, it will default to a get method. So we come over here and we look, oh, here's a get posts. What is that doing? It's going to the database, that model that we imported right from the database here. It got that and found all of the posts and sent it back to the front end. The front end gets the posts here, sets it into the state. When the state updates right here, our map reruns. Our map is just looping over each individual post. Now, what do we want to show for each individual post? A div with an H3 and a P tag. And in those, we're going to pull out the title. Again, this is coming straight from the database, and the content also straight from the database. So we have done the C and the R going on now. We've created something by posting it into the database, saving that, creating it using Sequelize. Now we've done the R step, which is pull that data out of the database, loop over it, and have React show it. Even if you were able to not get the code working, how are we feeling on this? I know it's a lot. You guys seem to be following along. Does this seem, is this clicking? Are we seeing why we've got all of these steps? Are we seeing it start to come together?
You know, when people like put their hand out and they wave it a little bit like side to side, like that.
That one?
More of a kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the other-
exactly.
You're writing it, you're getting it, it's working, but you're not getting it. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think I understand it. It's just a couple more extra steps. And now it's like, oh, I had it yesterday. Now I just gotta kind of memorize these steps too.
My biggest thing is when to put certain
Parentheses and
and
curly
stuff like
braces and all of
curly
that. Yep.
braces and yeah, temporal literal and just to know when to know when to use those and the correct way to use it, like, you know, because I think we're still kind of
Cap,
Mhm.
no cap, camel case, all of that. Dot, dot, dot.
right,
Oh,
the slash
oh.
the two curly brackets, one curly brackets
So
versus, you know,
what
I
I
need
would
an-
say is go back on the code once you have it working and say, why is this a parenthesis? Right. And it could be something as simple as, well, it is a it's a parenthesis here because fetch is a method. Okay, well, why are we using a backtick? Well, it's a template literal because we're using the URL that we're putting in here. right? Or getting down to here and saying, okay, why does data.posts go in between the parentheses here? Oh, because that's the data that's getting sent into the set function. And then you may get down here and be like, no freaking idea what these are.
That one.
So that's when you should stop me. And even though it may seem like a simple question, be like, what's the point of those? And the point of these is to tell this use effect to only run when the component first loads. If you put something in here, it will run whenever that thing changes. So if we want to say console use effect console.log posts just changed must have reloaded the page. What we can do is put in here posts. Now, whenever posts gets updated, it is going to console log out posts just changed. So if I come over here and I refresh, I get posts just changed. Well, of course they just changed because the page loaded for the first time. So whatever we put in that array is saying, what effect would you like to happen when whatever is in this array changes? However, if you put an empty array, React knows, oh, you just want that to run when the component first shows up. Now it's got to be the square brackets because you can technically put multiple things in here if you wanted to. But the main thing to hold on to there is those empty brackets are telling React when the component first loads, this is what you should go do. And if there's anything else where you're like, what's the point of this parenthesis? The answer is, oh, just to group everything together and say everything that's being returned from this component is the start of the parenthesis here to the end of the parenthesis down here. All of this stuff must be in the return because these parentheses line up. Oh, what's this curly brace down here? That seems like it's hanging out. Oh, that's the home. That's saying everything in this code is part of the home component. But if at any point you've got questions on that syntax, now is the time to ask it.
I'm still not able to see my post in the beekeeper.
Go ahead and share your screen.
I think it's a backend because it says 404.
Oh, you've got a spelling issue. Go to your posts model in the backend. You've got post in all caps and it needs to be in all lowercase. But I don't think that's your issue. Well, maybe it is. Try and create a new post and let's see what happens. Okay, you've got errors. So before you do anything, scroll up there. You've got class name. Did you mean class name? So go fix that first.
Post editor, okay.
That's your backend. Yeah, you need to fix in your front end, post editor.
Can you move up? Where is it?
Capital N as well. Okay, good sign. Maybe a good sign. There you go. Okay, so the whole thing refreshed, which means there's got to be a problem with your form submission. So go to your front end code. And just drag that window open or collapse the file so I can see the code itself. Yeah, okay. So form on submit post, go up to your post function. Event prevent deflout. Default, DEFAULT. Delete the L. AULT.
That's
Yep.
some brain fart right there.
Okay, give that a try. Okay, scroll up. Now you've got failed to fetch 3001 post empty response. So go to your back end. And now you've got an app crashed. So scroll up in the errors there. And you get cannot read properties undefined reading ID. So look at 67. The rec.body doesn't have the user ID. The rec.session has the user ID. So instead of rec.body.user ID, it should be rec.session.user ID. Nope, just regular session. There you go. Save that. Go back to the front end. The browser. Click post. Okay, that's promising. Now delete admin from your URL and just go to the home screen. Okay, now you've got 404 not found posts. So you need to go make a server.get posts in order for that to work.
And then in
You're missing the slash on 72 in the route.
oh yeah, I am.
Okay, go back to the homepage, refresh. Good work.
Thank you.
Hey. Nope, Christy, go ahead.
So when you were typing and you did post just change must have reloaded the page
Yep,
earlier.
you can delete that. That shouldn't be in your code. That was just an example.
No, it showed up in my console.
Oh, yeah, just because you're on a live share with me.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just wondered why that happened.
We are about to go on break. We'll break now. See you guys at 7:30.
Cool beans.
We'll go. Okay. So we're cruising along. We've got our posts showing up on the front end. Let's try and do a little cleanup on those posts on the front end. It's not going to be anything super spectacular, but we can clean that up with a little bit of Bootstrap and make that look better. So let's go ahead and do that before we move on to a security vulnerability and getting our edit and delete working. Then we will call it a night. So we can clean up our blog posts in our home. I'm going to just add a couple classes to this. So
Recording. Sorry.
I started recording and there we go. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so in here, I can clean this up by just saying, hey, this class is going to have a card. I can say that this is going to be the card title. And this is going to be the card text. And let's drop this down to an H5 so it's a little bit smaller. Okay, that's kind of on the right track. What else can we do to clean that up? Well, we can say this is going to be the card body. Body is going to hold the
Class instead of class name.
Thank you. All right, that certainly cleans it up a lot. What else can we do there? Let's add a little spacing between them. Let's say style is going to have margin on the top. Let's just put it on the bottom to space them out. Let's say 20 pixels. Not too bad. You can do a little margin on the top. Maybe we split that. We can say margin top 10, margin bottom 10. All right. Cool with that for now. Maybe we change home to say Max's awesome blog. Maybe we move the login button to the bottom of the posts. Works for me. Okay. So you may notice that this is the newer post, but it's sitting down on the bottom. So we can actually flip that pretty easily. If we go to our back end, when we find all the posts, we can say sort. I have to look that one up. So let's go to the Sequelize documentation. Get started, look at model instances, and if I do a search for sort, let's see if I can find that. Sort. All queries. Surprised that isn't there. Or ordering is probably it. Find all, order by the title. Okay, so that's what we do. We use order instead. So let's go back to VS Code and I'll say order. And the order that we would like is by the ID. And if we come back and look at our 3000, still upside down. I think we do something like order ID ASC, ascending? No? Descending? There we go. So we can pass in the order prop. We say, hey, the ID should be descending, and that flips it so we get the newest posts up at the top. Okay. So what we have done is we've got our login working. We know that if we just are not signed in and go to the admin page, it immediately pops us out to the login page. Great. But what happens if I've got someone sneaky who goes into Postman and says, oh, I'll make a post request to your admin, to your post. Is it post? Post. Okay. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to make a post request, and I'm going to say the title is, haha, you've been hacked. And the content is, well, if I hit the send button here, socket hang up. Okay. I've got an error. What did I do? Oh, I didn't even see that. Now I come over here, I hit send, it says post created. Well, hold on, that person isn't even signed in. So I come back over here and I refresh. Someone just came into Postman, said, huh, I'm going to guess that your post URL is post, and you've got a title and content. Oh, I don't want that. I only want signed in people to be able to make posts. So what I could do is I could say, well, if there isn't a rec.session.user, then res.send error, you're not signed in, no posting for you. Else there must be a rec session user, so go ahead and create the post. So now when we go to Postman and I hit the send button, I say, it says you're not signed in, no posting for you, and that post doesn't go through. But this is kind of a pain because every time that we would like to make sure that we don't have a unsigned in user doing this, we would have to do that check for every single endpoint. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a way that we could reuse that function? And that is the notion of a middleware. What we do is we say const auth required is equal to our rec, our res, and one new parameter called next. And by the way, this is all just exposure. You don't have to be following along with this. I will let you know in 1 second when we get back to the following along stuff. But in my auth required, what I can do is take this exact same check here, and I can say if the rec does not have a session, send back you're not signed in. Else, go on to whatever the next function is. Then up here, what I'm able to do is take out that if and put it right here to say that the auth is required. By putting this in the middleware chain, what it does is it says, hey, there's a post request coming in. Okay, go check auth required. Auth required comes in and says, go look in the user. If there's not a user, send this back. You're done. Don't run anything else. If there is a user, go ahead onto the next function or the next part of the endpoint. Well, what's the next point of the endpoint? The post creation. So this auth required kind of takes a detour. And if this is true, it sends back the res and we're done. If it is not true, if it's not true, it says you're not allowed in here, stop running. If it is true, it goes on to the next thing in the chain. The next thing in the chain is actually creating the post. Make sense? Basic middleware there. And you can create middleware functions. The whole point of them is that we can reuse them, which we will do in 1 second. So if you would like, go ahead and create this auth required and go ahead and use that in your post endpoint. I'll give everyone just a minute to catch up on that. That's the only thing that we really need to change here. You can always catch up on the front end changes in a minute. But this is creating this auth required function and then also adding it to your post method is a good step to take right now, because we're about to get our update and delete working. And if we do that, we also will need this auth required.
Next. Never seen that one.
Okay, so I'm looking at my my front end. I'm able to go to my admin screen, but wouldn't it be nice from my admin screen if I could see the name of all of my posts and then edit or delete one? So in order to do that, I'm going to go to my admin and I'm going to say, hey, we're going to make a new function called get posts. And it's going to be async because it needs to do a fetch. And we're going to say const response was await our fetch. We are fetching to our API URL, and we're going to get all the posts. Once we get the posts, we need to parse out the JSON. And once we parse out the JSON, all we want to do is set the posts from our data.posts. But we don't have a set posts, so we need to set that up from our state. And now we need to call our get posts. So right in here, if we're logged in, this is where we want to get the posts. We don't want to show them anything on the admin screen unless they are logged in. So in this do nothing, they're allowed to be here. I'm going to take that out and call my get posts. And then I need to actually show my posts up. So I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of showing them all as cards, I'm going to show them in a table. So I'm going to say table class name is a table. And in that table, I would like there to be a table head. And in that table head, I would like there to be a table row. And in that table row, there's going to be 3 table header sections, a title, an edit, and a delete. Then in the table body, I am going to go over each of my posts that is in state, which is going to give me access to my individual post. And I'm going to return out a table row that has the key of the post ID. And in that table row, I'm going to have the TD with my post title. I'm also going to have a TD with a edit button, which we'll set up in a minute. And then I'm also going to have a TD with a span in it, and that span is going to say delete, and we'll hook into that in 1 second. So I go to my browser, I get use state is not defined. That's because I just need to import it here. I import it, I go back to my browser, I refresh, and I get a white screen. So I go to my console, I look up here, cannot read properties of undefined reading map. Okay, map is coming from my posts. So there must be something wrong with my posts. So let's come up to our get posts, and I'm going to console log out the data and see what's coming back. Now I get a promise pending. Ah, I forgot an await. Whenever we get a promise pending, it's because we forget an await. Now I've got a nice little table with the titles, edit, and delete. I'm going to pause here, let you guys catch up. Again, the more important question for tonight is asking, why are we doing all of this? So if at any point you don't understand the why, now is the time to ask.
So link to table.
The last thing we updated is admin JS or no?
Yes.
Okay. I need help.
Go ahead.
So it's saying right here that I have two errors and it's red right here. So it's like it starts there and then there and there, but that's
You're
the
missing a closing tag on 66.
oh for the table. Oh my God, okay.
If we're all caught up, what should we have right now?
On the admin page, you should be able to see your posts and edit and delete. Edit and delete don't go anywhere, but it should look like that.
Okay.
Stephanie, go ahead. Sorry, didn't see your hand.
On my page, once I log into the admin, I have a bunch of errors that says admin.js line 53, but line 53 is T body.
Okay,
That's-
go ahead, share screen. Let's take a look.
So this just kind of shows up a couple times.
Okay, so go back to your code and scroll up to where you actually do the API call. Okay, so you made the same mistake that I made. I forgot the await right here. But the better thing is in order to understand how we could know that that would be the problem, what's happening is the map is trying to loop over something that it can't loop. So what I did is right in here, I did a console.log data between 27 and 28. And what came out was a promise. And because it came out as a promise, I knew I missed the await. So if you put the await in 27, it should fix all of your problems. But important to go through that debugging process and know, hey, maybe I should look at what's going into my post to see what's going on.
Okay. Um,
You are good to go.
cool. Thank you.
Go ahead, Larry. Okay, pop open your console before you move off this. And refresh the page. Okay, so no problems there. Let's go to your front end code first. Scroll up a little bit to your use effect.
I don't have one.
You do right there. Okay, so what we did is you just need to take the comment out on 16 and call get posts.
Okay, thank you.
You did the whole function to make the API call happen and then just forgot to call it.
Thank you. I didn't like that. Get link error boundaries, admin 51, currently properties undefined map.
Show your screen again. You may have forgotten the same await that I've forgotten.
51.
51 is just the map. Check on your in your get posts for your response.json. Make sure there's an await in front of it.
All right, thank you. A what?
This is the await that I forgot when I initially wrote the code. And the reason I was able to find this was because I knew that it was trying to do post.map. And it was like, I can't map over something that is not loopable. Something's not working. So I went, okay, well, where do I set the posts? So I had to come back up to here. And I went, okay, this is where I set the posts. I wonder what's getting set in there. So I did a console log data here. And what came out of that data was a promise. Like, well, promise isn't what I want. Where are my posts? Well, it turns out response.json returns a promise. I need to wait for that promise to be done before I can set that data in to the posts.
Pulse is assign a value but never use. Admin. Okay. What's going on? Let's go to the browser and see what happens. At this point, what should we be seeing?
On your admin screen, if you are logged in, you should be seeing something like this.
Log in, see what happens. Okay, what's the error message? Add post message map is not a function. 52.1.
Okay, everyone listen up. I made a mistake in my code and everyone is running into the problem. Look on your response.json. If you are missing the keyword await in your get posts function, there should be 2 awaits in there. If you are missing that await, you are going to get an error.
This was on admin.
Admin get posts. There should be 2 awaits. We await the fetch and then we await the response.json. If it's working for you, you already got the await. You got both of them. But initially when I wrote this code, I forgot that second await and that errored out.
No, I'll have both await on there. Uncaught.
You want to share your screen, Wayne?
Yeah. Might be something simple. I'm just not, my brain ain't. So
Let me see the error in the browser.
it's admin 52.
Yep, it should just say posts.map, not postmessage.map. That 53 should just say posts with an S. You're looping over all of the posts to get each individual post. Give that a try. Refresh.
Okay.
Do you have any posts in your database?
I should have.
Go to Beekeeper and see if the posts are in there. Refresh the entities and open the regular posts table. Yep. Okay, so that, oh, no. Okay, so that is working. So let's look at your backend code really quickly. And go to your get posts. All right, nothing's wrong there. Go to your front end code.
Which part of my front end code?
Fetch, response, JSON, post. Scroll down a little bit. Data.post. Coming in. Post, title, post, title. Oh, you didn't save your server. Oh, is it under you?
Yeah. And change that.
Go for it.
Well,
Oh, are we? I think I know what it is. Are we just not calling get posts? Here we go. You did all of this work, but then you didn't call it anywhere. So what we want to do is call get posts right here.
oh,
Once we confirm they've logged in, now make the posts show up.
thank you.
No problem.
Let me look at that.
All right, it is 8:04. So what I'm feeling from you guys right now is like all of that energy. You would like me to go into turbo mode and just finish this app up so quickly that you can't catch up, and then we'll be good for the evening. Sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Just kidding. There's one more feature I'm gonna add. It's gonna be 5 minutes, and then we're gonna leave the rest of the 20 minutes open for questions. And if you would like to take that as an invitation to peace out a little early, that is totally fine with me.
Did you say peace out?
We are going to get the delete button working, and then on Monday, we will spend some time getting the final edit working, getting the author showing, and getting timestamps working as well. So there's a couple more things that we can do on this blog project. I think it's going to be worthwhile to squeeze one more day out of working on the blog. So we will shoot for doing that Monday. But right now, I just want to get the delete button working so we can leave this kind of in a good place. So on the span, I'm going to add an on click that says delete. The problem is we need to know which one they are trying to delete. We can't just delete all the blog posts. They're trying to delete one specific blog post. So what I do is I say, hey, when they click the delete button, call the delete function that we are about to write, delete, let's call it delete post. And what are we passing in? The post ID. That way, when we delete the post, we know which one they're trying to delete. So I come up here and I say const delete post is going to get an ID passed into it. And what we are going to do is we are going to say if they confirm that you sure you wanna delete this. And if they confirm that they want to delete it, we're going to make an API call to a fetch. Fetch is going to use, oh, shocker to everyone, the API URL. The API URL is going to go to the post, and we are going to say the method is delete. And we want to include the credentials because only signed in people should be able to delete. But we have the ID here of the post that we want to delete. We need to send that to the backend. So the backend knows what to delete. So we're going to pass it in via a route parameter. Then we switch back to our, well, I save. And I've got a error unexpected await because I forgot to make this async. Okay, now I'm here. Of course, if I click on delete and confirm, I get a 404. Well, it's 404ing because I didn't tell it, hey, the way you delete on the back end is you're going to get a server.delete, and it's going to come into the post, and it's telling you what ID you would like to delete. So because we put that colon there, it knows, oh, you're actually going to tell me the ID to delete. And what we do is we async rec res, and we say post dot destroy, or we should await post dot destroy. And what do we want to destroy? We want to destroy the post where the ID matches the rec dot params dot ID. Then we are going to res dot send back a success true and a message that post is out of here. Now I come over here, I click the delete button, I hit OK. Okay, I didn't get any new errors, but what happened? Well, if I go to my beekeeper and I go look at my posts, it's gone. And if I look over here, it's still here. Okay, well, if I refresh the page, now it's gone. What's happening is we deleted it in the database. This is successfully working. The problem is it's still in our state. It's still in the posts in the front end. So once we delete it from the database, we need to call get posts again so that the front end knows, hey, go get the posts and make sure it's actually gone and update that in our state. So I come over here, I refresh, I now delete ABC and hit OK, and it disappears. And not only is it going to disappear from there, when I go back to my home screen, those blog posts will be deleted. Now there's one final thing we need to do, and this is a nice simple one. We don't want anyone to be able to delete a post. We only want people logged in to be able to delete it. So we come up here and all we need to do is say auth required. And just like that, we have confirmed that only logged in users are able to delete a post. All right, that's all I have for you. We'll
What line was admin.js? I'm trying to catch up.
It was line 31 here. 31 through 39, and also 72.
Okay.
Feel free to keep working on that, get your delete button working. If you've got that working, you are done for the evening. You are welcome to stick around and ask any questions about the blog project, about capstones, about homework, wherever you're at. I will be on until either 7:30 or until most of you guys sign off.
After the admin.js, we went back to server.js.
Yep, and added in the post, I'm sorry, the delete endpoint.
What line was that?
77 through 80.
77. Okay. So it deletes from Beekeeper from the database, but not on the.
So all you need to do on the front end is add a get posts method. A get post call in your delete post. Just need to add the get posts right here.
Yeah, I added that. on the front end.
And if you click the delete button, it should and hit OK, it should delete on the front end as well. If
Oh,
not, you're
okay.
missing something.
No, I was just refreshing. Okay, I got it. I
Okay.
got it. So, Sunday we can be in person, and then next week we'll be
All in person.
Okay.
Optionally, I mean, you can still tune in on Zoom. But I will be in person Sunday, 5 o'clock. We'll be there for at least an hour, if not longer, and then class all next week will be in person. Well, I will be in person. You're welcome to tune in virtually. Larry, go ahead. Okay, empty response is something going on in your back end. So let's go to that. I don't see it.
Oh.
Go back to your front end for me. And refresh the whole thing to clear out the browser. Okay, so I think you deleted all of your posts. Well, maybe not. Scroll up a little bit. Failed to fetch, connection refused. Something's going on. Go to your backend and make sure you don't have any errors in the terminal.
Excuse me.
Where is your backend terminal? Aha. Scroll up there. Too far. Stop. Okay, cannot read properties of undefined reading ID. Go to your delete method. Post ID, params ID, everything looks good there. Take me to your front end.
The code.
Yes, the code. Sorry. I'm so bad at should just say the browser if I mean the browser. Host ID, API URL, delete, include. Okay, all of that looks good. Go down to where the delete button actually does the on click. All of that looks fine too. Okay, let's try one more thing. You don't need to take me there on the screen share, but click in your backend terminal, hit Control-C to stop it, and then up enter to restart it, and then take me to your browser. When you restart it, does it look like it restarted fine without any errors?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to your browser. I wonder if you just missed something. Okay, that's promising. Try deleting something now. Oh, no. Scroll up. You're still getting failed to fetch. Empty response on post 3.
Do I have a post 3?
Okay, let me hold on before you go. Let me just take well, post 3.
I only have 2 things in my database.
But if you created one and well, what happened? Take me to your back end. There's got to be something obvious that we're missing. App crashed on, let me just take over here for 1 second. Cannot read rec.params.id, which means to me that they're not sending in the ID from, oh, is it some, no, post. That's mine. Post ID, you defined it, rec params. Rec res, and is your auth required doing something?
I'm missing an async. Look like I might be missing an async.
I think you're on to something. Where is
You
the
just add.
delete? No, you've got an async.
Oh, okay.
Await post destroy where the ID is coming in from the rec params. How would it not? Rec params ID. Wait,
For the same
destroy.
post 3, I only have 2 posts.
All right, let's go. Let me reboot this before we forget. And then let's go back to your front end because I really don't see anything wrong in your back end. Server delete back post. I'm sorry, go to your front end code.
What just happened?
VLC is being quite aggressive right now.
Mhm.
All right, try switching back to your front end now.
All right.
The code.
Oh, you said-
Yeah.
all right.
Delete post is passing in post ID. Post ID is coming in here. You're doing a delete to the post with that ID.
But the ID is saying 3. I don't have 3 things in my database. I only have 2 things with an ID of 1 and an ID of 2.
Mine says that too, like 3.
So I don't- Oh, I do have an ID of 3. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's
Is my code doing this without me knowing? Nope. Do you have ID defined somewhere else? ID, post ID, delete post, on click. What does your post model look like in the back end?
ID DESC step.
ID type integer primary key auto increment. Majorly confused.
So
Max, I know you did it in the beginning of the class. How do you stop all that extra stuff from logging out when we do from the database stuff?
In your it's a command P in the database file. Up when you set up your sequelize, you can just say logging false.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that turns it off. So The only thing that I can think of, which is, this is really confusing me, is the problem we know is all, hold on, let me just look at your auth required one more time. Rec res next, if not session, res send it back, else next. No, that can't be the problem. Post ID auth required. For whatever reason, your rec.params.id. So let's just try this. Let's do a console log of your rec.params. Pull this open. You don't. Oh. I've got an idea. Go to. Let me look at your sessions. Equalize, store, require. I've got an idea. Try going back to your login page, Larry, and logging back in and then trying to delete it.
Okay.
I wonder if your login got screwy and your authentication is not letting you delete it because your authentication got, you got logged out or something.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you log back in and then click the delete button, if it will let you do it then. And if not, you're going to have to delete both of your node modules folders, send me both of your front end and back end in a zip, and I will look through it and see what I can get. Nicole, do you want to go?
Yeah, I was trying to catch up, but I listen most of the time, but I'm probably missing a bunch of code, but I don't have anything in my Beekeeper, so it's kind of stopping me from.
Okay, share your screen. Let's see if I can just get you unstuck on Beekeeper. So you go to your backend code. You've got your DB you've got post set up. So go to your db.js. And you've got post. Well, it says you've got post flowing through there, and the sync. Oh, you've got an app crashed. Scroll up in the terminal. Post is not defined on find all 77. So go to your server.js and scroll up to the top. And on 11, after the word user, do another comma and put post in there. Capital P.
Say that again, Max. I'm sorry.
Capital P. Save. And scroll down to the bottom of your terminal and npm run start. Okay. And hit the little refresh on the entities. Hover over the word entities over on the left here. And then you'll get the refresh. There are your posts.
Okay, it's back here.
So try making a new post.
Well, I couldn't even get in, but
Well, because your server was crashing.
yeah, and
Okay.
the pause button doesn't work. So
Well, not necessarily. Go delete out everything here and just go back to your home screen. And there are all of your posts.
okay. So am I caught up?
No, you're
Oh.
missing the
The
navigate.
delete.
You're missing the navigate, and you're missing the admin page showing all of your posts.
Okay.
Oh, you do have that. So maybe all you're missing is the navigate and the delete.
I gotta delete here.
Okay, so you just need to do an on click of the bottom. On the actual delete,
Here.
go down to the map where the delete button actually shows up. You need an on click on line 70. That's the table head. You need it on the actual table. So compare that to what I have, because you have to pass in the post ID.
Oh, right here.
My
whole
70.
thing?
Yep.
Okay. And
Larry, any luck?
No,
Oh, go ahead and zip up your code and shoot it to me in Slack, and I'll take a look at it tomorrow morning.
all right, thank you.
It's going to be a really frustrating thing when I find it, but
Hmm.
you were so close and everything looks right. So I don't know why. In your
Yeah, I'm
date,
Do I have to put, no, that's, I was gonna say, do I have to put quotes around that? No, that doesn't make sense. All right. No, I don't know.
did you drop that extra table from your database?
The one I had before, yeah.
yes, child. No. Play the game.
Could you,
I dropped it.
I tried dropping the table that I created, the one that wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dropping. My walking.
Go ahead, share your screen. Let's take a look.
This one.
Okay, so drop table. And because you had it in capital, you have to do something. I think it's use backticks. Have a good night, everyone.
All right.
This one or the other one?
No, backticks are beneath the escape key, template literal one.
Oh,
And
Will
then
you
do
take off that, please?
POST and then lowercase s. And
And
then
then-
close the backtick and then try clicking run. Oh, okay. Try single quotes instead of backticks. I never remember which ones these are. It's always the last one I try. Yeah, okay. It's going to be double quotes, of course. Last one.
there we go. There. Thank you. Because I was trying. I'm like, all right. I know I'm dropping the table. I know I'm just, but okay. Once it's all in caps, you gotta.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
good to know.
it SQL is like case, it isn't case sensitive until it's something that you have named yourself, and then it is.
Okay, makes sense. And I did work on everything else, so I'm all
Cool. Good work. Larry, did you have another question?
No,
Oh, okay. Nicole, you're up.
Can you just show me what it's supposed to look like? Because I have the edit and delete, but is it supposed to be like a button? I clicked on it, it gave me the action, like, are you gonna delete this?
Yeah, so if I say to delete and I make a post that says blog and you click the delete button here, it should say, are you sure? And when you hit OK, it should make it go away.
Oh, it didn't go away. Do you wanna help me do that real quick?
Sure.
Sorry, I know it's late.
In your delete post function in the front end, do you have get posts after the fetch?
Well, get post.
Yeah, you do. Okay. Do you have any errors in your backend terminal?
Not that I know of.
Nope, everything looks good there. Let me see your delete before you move away from this in the no, in the backend.
Where would the delete be, just to make sure?
On mine it is 77
In the server
in
JS?
server JS, yeah. Server get. I think you're missing your delete.
Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a whole delete then.
So try and add that in.
Maybe
and
I have
s-
that somewhere else.
You can just do a
No,
Command
I'm
F
missing
and
it.
type in delete and see if it comes up. But I think that's what you're missing.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing that piece because I don't remember writing this part.
Okay. I think once you get that working, you should be in good shape.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Any other questions from anyone before I go